So, hi, my name's Wire Guitar, and my bed's not made. But I've got something to show you guys real quick that I think it's kind of a rant and it's kind of a guide at the same time, so I'll label it as such. But this is something that a lot of you players that watch my channel, I say a lot, but I only have like 1,000 subscribers. So relatively speaking, here, a lot of people that come to my channel and realize that I play Lycan, Broodmother, Terrorblade, and then pretty much those heroes only, have asked me questions about. And so let me show you about. Let me show you what I'm talking about, and you guys will understand what I'm saying. So here's Broodmother, the hero, and here's the information that we care about, okay? You guys always ask me how I set up my hotkeys, and I tell you guys every single time, and whenever I set up my hotkeys, it's just the hotkey 1 on my keyboard is everything in my army, so I'll show you that once I create an army. Oops, sorry about that. Just create an army here. So, I'll do it one more time. Okay. So I've got my army, which is 1. I've got my hero and my army, which is my 1 hotkey. That controls everything. That's basically your death ball. I've got 2 set to just my spiders. So it's just my army. It's not my hero included. It's like my army without the general. And then I've got 3 set to my general, or Broodmother, but not the army. When I say general, I just mean, the fucking captain of the crew. Whatever. So 1 is your death ball plus your hero, 2 is just your death ball, 3 is just your hero, and that's worked for me so far. Recently, though, I'm a noob or whatever, I found out that Spiderites actually feed more gold than Spiderlings, and by a pretty significant amount. Spiderites can end up feeding 21 gold compared to a Spiderling, which can feed only 11 to 13 gold. Spiderlings feed more EXP, but Spiderlings have 450 health, which is enough to survive most nukes in the game. Keep in mind they have 0 magic resistance, but 450 health is enough to survive everything except for like a Caudal full charge blast. So Spiderlings are actually really tanky, and they get the health regen from your spin webs. And it should say that somewhere. Just take my word for it. If you've played Broodmother 1 or 2 games tops, you know that Spiderlings and Spiderites both get the health regen from Spinweb. So, what we've established here is that Spiderites have less health, but feed more gold than Spiderlings. And also, keep this in mind, Spiderites do half the damage. They do 9 to 10 damage, and they have normal type damage, so it's actually only 6 damage to a 0 armored hero. Whereas Spiderlings deal 18 to 19 damage. And then also, Spiderites don't slow your target. See, Spiderlings slow your target for 8%. That's pretty significant, and they have a damage over time as well associated with it. It's 16 damage, so Poison Sting is a pretty good ability. And Spiderlings also spawn Spiderites, which Spiderites do not do. So, what I'm trying to establish here is that there's going to hit a certain point in the game where you just don't care about your Spiderites anymore. Kind of. You would like to keep them around and farm like neutrals. If you get like 10 or 20 of them, they can take a camp, or at least they can clear the small minions. But you don't really want them to fight heroes because they don't do any damage at a certain point in the game when a hero gets like even 5 armor, is reducing a Spiderite's damage pretty significantly. And they don't really hit towers that hard. I mean, they add to your tower push, and I'm pretty sure Spiderites have like chaos damage or something. They have like a normal damage type which actually does decent damage to towers. It's not saying it here. Damage types are weird. I wish Dota would change it, but Dota. But basically, Spiderites do decent damage to, and they add to your push. But if it's like 1 rocket flare from a clockwork, he's gonna get like 200 gold if he ends up killing 15 Spiderites. And it literally only takes 1 rocket flare, because rocket flare. This is just a small example, but most heroes in the game can do this. Check it out, Clockwork, Dota 2. Check out his rocket flare. At max rank, this thing does 200 damage. Spiderites have zero magic resistance, so it always one-shots the Spiderite, which means if he hits 10 or 15 of these fuckers, he's gonna get like 150 gold. And when you're trying to min-max the hero, you do not want to feed Spiderites, or Spiderlings for that matter. You don't want to feed. You never want to feed. When you're trying to min-max a hero like this, it becomes really important that you don't feed your shit. So, one thing I've been screwing around with, I told you guys my hotkey setup earlier. The reason I told you that is to tell you how I'm thinking about changing my hotkey setup. And then I'll tell you why I can't actually do that in a second here. So we create an army. So I've got 1 as my hero and my army, right? And then 2 as just my army. What I was thinking about doing is picking out the Spiderlings and the Spiderites and making my Spiderites on hotkey set 4. That's my Spiderites. And then have my hero and my army, my hero and my Spiderling army set to 1, and my army set my Spiderling army only set to 2. So does that make sense? My Spiderite army is on hotkey set 4. My Spiderling army set is on hotkey set 2, and then my hero and my Spiderling set is on 1. The reason that I don't need a hero and Spiderite army is because if I'm ever trying to kill heroes with just my hero and my Spiderite, then I did something wrong. You only ever want to, like, Spiderites don't, like I said, 15 minutes in, your Spiderites don't do damage at all to any hero, except for like a Crystal Maiden with only Tranquil Boots. So does that make sense? That was something that I was thinking about doing, and let me show you why I can't do that. So we'll create more army. Okay. It's in a custom game, by the way, just in case you were wondering. So we've got our Spiderlings, we've got our Spiderites, we've got our hero. So this is my hotkey set for the hero and the army, and then here's just my Spiderlings, here's just my Spiderites. So does that make sense? 1 is my hero and my army, Spiderling army. 2 is my Spiderling army. 3 is my hero, and Spiderites are on 4. But watch why I can't do this. Are there any? Okay, watch why I can't do this. So we're gonna take everything and just farm things again. Okay, it worked this time, but usually it doesn't work. What I'm trying to illustrate is that your hotkeys get screwed up, and it's out of your control. So here, it'll work this time, I guarantee it. What? It didn't work this time. Okay, it worked, but in a very weird way. One more time. I'm sorry. We're experiencing some technical difficulties because of Dota. Okay, this is an illustration of my point. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so what happens, did you see what just happened? What happened was it kept my hotkeys on the spiders that I specifically hotkeyed, and it did not hotkey the new spiders that I created, which is a problem, obviously. I shouldn't need to tell you why that's a problem. I'll tell you anyways why that's a problem, but that should be obvious, like, to any player that knows what I'm talking about, why that's a problem. Oops. That's a problem because you don't want to re-hotkey every new unit that you create. You want your existing hotkeys to exist, and then also your new hotkeys to exist in addition to, like, to just add on to your new hotkeys. Another problem that happened was after my current Spiderites and Spiderlings that I had hotkeyed died, it just grouped all my hotkeys together. So notice, there's some Spiderlings in here and there's some Spiderites in here, but if I push the hotkey, look, it encompasses all of the units. And I did not do that normally. It's hard to show these kinds of things because hotkeys are something that are, like, very specific, and I'm not showing you guys, like, my keyboard every time I do that. But just trust me when I say that Dota 2 is screwed up in a way that is beyond... I don't understand why it is this way. Why can't I have my Spiderites on a hotkey and my Spiderlings on a different hotkey and my hero on that same hotkey that I want that on? Like, why does it have to keep grouping my Spiderites and my Spiderlings together? So watch, it's working right now. I'm gonna go take this camp. We'll create Spiderites and stuff and Spiderlings. And then look, why aren't these are Spiderlings and Spiderites, right? There's Spiderlings and Spiderites here to prove that. But look, they're not on my hotkeys. Why is that the case? Why can't they be on my hotkeys? I want them to be on my hotkeys, but they're not. I'm not trying to come off as a naggy bitch. I'm just trying to illustrate a point here that hopefully you guys can understand. See? And now they're all on the same hotkey. Why is that the case? I want them to be on different hotkeys because I don't want to have to hit that late game stage where Clockwork is rocket flaring my Spiderites and taking... Excuse me. He's taking, 300 gold every time he throws a rocket flare down when I'm pushing bot lane. I don't want that to be the case. I want to be able to farm in peace, knowing when I'm in a lane that WTF mode, Ursa collapsed 3 times in a row. Or 2 times. But I don't want to have to worry about one rocket flare literally like farming this guy's Blink Dagger or something like that, or his Force Staff, or I don't know, whatever Clockwork's farm, Ags. Whatever, I don't play Clockwork. But I don't want to have to worry about like a Zeus walking to my lane and getting a free Orchid, or they don't farm. Well, I'm using the worst item examples to illustrate this. But basically, I don't want to have to worry about a hero getting arbitrarily fed off of my Spiderites in the mid game when Spiderites lose their value, I want Spiderites to be relevant early game, and I'll have them on a certain hotkey then. But I don't want to have to... As it currently stands, the only method of dealing with this issue is... Watch, I spawn neutrals, and I'm going to go take 3 camps at once. Not at once, but I'm gonna take 3 camps and show you how to currently solve this problem, and you'll see why it's impractical for like your average. Like some of you guys are like 3K, but you play Broodmother. I have a guy that we always talk about like Broodmother replays, and we talk about Elkane and like other like Mag and DK Phobos and stuff. Like we talk about pro Brood players all the time. They play Broodmother and we analyze games, and he's really interested in the hero, but I don't think it's logical for me to assume that he'd be able to do this. Here's the only current way to solve this problem yourself if you want to. You have to hit the control button, like hold on to the control button, select all of the units. That's what control does. If you could control click something, it selects all of the units of that type that are within the nearby vicinity. So control click, I have all my spiderlings over here, and then I have all my spiderites over here. You have to separate them manually every single time you want to not have to worry about this. And that's a problem, you know? Because look, I just spawned more spiderites. Look at this. Look at these. I have to do this every single time I take a camp. That's impractical. I can't be expected to do. I mean, I'm not a Korean, right? I guess I'll currently do this and deal with this minor inconvenience, but I shouldn't have to. This creates an arbitrary skill cap on the hero that, in my opinion, should not exist. Oh my god, I'm gonna get perma-stunned. This is annoying. Okay, never mind. I got invisible again. But anyways, that's annoying, and that shouldn't. I don't think that should be in the game. I don't think it should be that way, where I have to do this every single time. You know, like that doesn't take too much time, but that's so arbitrary and so frustrating to have to deal with, in my opinion. And look, I can't use the hotkey ever again, because if I use my hotkey, it's going to grab them in the hotkey as well. So if I try to use the hotkey and move around, they're going to come with me, and I don't want them with me because they feed too much gold and they have low health, like I told you earlier. So I have to just walk around constantly boxing my units, looking like a StarCraft player, which works out because I used to play StarCraft, but still, I have to constantly walk around looking like a StarCraft player if I want to keep the spiderlings in one hotkey and separate my spiderites so they don't feed that much. And so yeah, I don't know. I would want a problem like this to get spread around as much as possible, because I think this is a genuine problem with Broodmother that like that should discourage people, new players, from playing here. I don't know. If you're a bad Broodmother, you don't care about this, because you're going to feed your spiderlings and spiderites anyways. But if you're a Broodmother that's trying to min-max the hero and push her as far as possible, you would care about this, because you don't think that, I mean, you should hit a point in the game where you don't care about your spiderites anymore, and where you just want them to only be hitting towers and neutral creeps. And that's what that's what I try to use my spiderites for in the mid game. You know, they're pretty good at like still farming creep waves, you know, if it wasn't in WTF mode. See? Like, they still do some damage. I mean, again, it's in WTF mode, but they still do some damage, and they can farm creep camps. But they hit the point where, like, they don't do that much damage, because in lane, you know, heroes have, like, no armor, and they can't afford stout shields all the time. Supports can't always afford stout shields. But, like I said, like, in the later stages of the game, where heroes start to level up and they get more agility, which means more armor, the fact that your spiderites do, like, 6 or 5 damage to heroes becomes not a non-factor. And you only want to use them to push towers. And even against certain compositions, you don't even want to do that much. Because, you know, like I said, Clockwork, he can just fire a flare from anywhere on the map and just cause your push to end right then and there if you have spiderites, and get a lot of gold while doing it. So, this is at present, I think this is a huge nuisance to the hero. And again, I'm not telling telling Ice Frog to buff Broodmother in any way. You know, change this about her, and if it turns out that this small change, this small quality of life change turns out to be too overpowered on the hero, nerf her in some other way, right? Nerf spiderites even further, or do something, please, because it's obnoxious, really. It's quite frankly, it's just obnoxious. But anyways, thanks for listening to me ramble on for like 10 minutes. And I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys think more carefully about this kind of thing. Because spiderites, like I said, they feed a lot of gold, and you don't want to feed them. And if the hotkeys were correct, I guess, if the hotkeys were the way that I assumed that they should be, then you wouldn't have to deal with that. But at present, it's just so annoying to have to deal with it. So anyways, thanks again. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys can spread this around as much as possible if you care about Broodmother like I do, because I want to see this get changed. Anyways, have a good day.